Okay, we're back now. This is part 2, in which I'm going to now start adding a little bit of, we're going to do a mixture of lawn trotting and loping. Just got a little bit of forward issue. That is why I wanted to try the spurs, because she's a little bit dull-sided at times, but it's more just on getting her going. Once she gets into her transition, then she's not too bad. Now this gal has a right side stiffness, and what I mean by that is every horse, just like every person, has one side. Most people and horses aren't just ambidextrous right off the bat. So this particular one is typical. She has one side that's better than the other, and in her case, her right side, I'm pretty sure, I'll have to feel this out. She's getting more balance because we've been working pretty hard on it. So, but her right side tends to be a tough side for her to bring her jawline out. So that's the side you may see me working on a lot more. Now I like to use the lawn trot as an interim gear for getting them strengthened up for the lope, in which I can also work on top line steadiness, as well as consistency and lengthening out the stride. It stretches out their hams back there and builds up their gaskins, builds up their back muscles, and teaches them how to stay on the bit. It's also an easier, more square gear than the 3 beat of the lope, in which they feel comfortable learning some of their new stuff, such as half halting, which is my slow down cue, and how to stay straight in the shoulders. So this is the gear that I do it, because what I found was actually going from a jog, if they're really good at the jog, I ran into problems at the lawn trot because there was too much, it was too dramatic for them to go to the lope without doing some of this at the lawn trot, because what they're actually dealing with is the energy. When you go from first gear to second gear to third gear, you're actually increasing energy. Well, horses don't always know how to manipulate that. You got to teach them how to manipulate that energy. That energy can either create control and drive from behind, if manipulated to sit back on their hocks, or it creates speed if it's not manipulated correctly and it falls over on their shoulders. So that is a key issue in which people get into trouble down the road from trying to train out the horse too fast and not strengthen them up through muscle toning and balance. If you don't get those things done properly in the timing that the horse has, because each one is individual, you got a general frame of time that most of them learn it in, but you also have some that are on the slower side and some that are on the faster side. So, but what I found then that made things easier for me when I went to pick up into the lope was when I started doing lawn trotting. Somehow I just kind of dumbly fell upon it, that I was like, you know what, I have the same problem in the lawn trot as I do in the lope. For Pete's sake, let's try fixing it in the lawn trot, because it's got just about the same amount of energy to try and manipulate as the lope. And then when I went to the lope, then I pretty much just had teaching them how to do it with a 3-beat gear instead of 1-2-1-2 rhythm. Okay, now I remember with this one. I got kind of a list of horses, and each one has, I got probably about 50-50. Well, actually, most of them tend to be left-sided, which I think most people will find. And then every once in a while you get a right-sider, and this one happens to be a left-sider. What happens is they are actually, that tends to be their, if you want to say, strong side, but it's also their weak side. And what I mean by that is they tend to want to pick that up, keep the energy coming. They tend to want to pick up their left side because it has more muscle and it's easier for them, but they have a hard time, what they do is they overdevelop on that side, which creates a weakness on the other side. But then that makes the, if you want to say the bad side, actually become their good side faster if you know what you're doing with your balances and strengthening, because that side is easier to manipulate and you can build the muscle as you want it to be instead of the way they've done it. So you spend more of your time actually breaking down their old good side and building up their new good side until eventually they become balanced. And I have found that on rare occasion do you have a horse, easy, she's got a little ghost factor going. I found on very rare occasion is there a horse that doesn't end up 100% balanced, on both sides and equal. So that really bites when you've got, when it comes down to the top 3 horses that could all be first place horses, and your horse doesn't have a second direction. That's painful because you lose it on that second direction. So it just drives me nuts when I see a phenomenal horse on one side and it looks, you don't even notice it to the second direction. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm just making sure she stays straight. She likes to push against my left ring. So rather than pick her shoulder up, which now if you notice it sends her outside shoulder out of position, I pull her straight back. She has to learn how to bring that inside jowl back and in a little bit. Good. And then bring that outside jowl out a little bit more without putting a bend in there that allows her to escape through her outside shoulder. That's why picking the shoulder up like this is very, very bad. It actually throws them out of position and out of balance, so that they gotta find some other way to compensate, which will later on down your training process turn into a mechanical looking way of moving, because you have to resort to intimidation to get it done. Oops, forgot to put my timer on here.